Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Angry Cast and Fallout Shelter 2022. How y'all doing? I want to apologize because I am actually recording in my car right now, going to work. Got a lot to talk about, and I'm sorry, but this is going to be kind of what we're going to be doing for the next few days, maybe a couple of weeks. Again, I'm sorry to have done this to you, but it's been exciting in the last few weeks. Just to give you a little background, we have been working remotely for the last 2 years off and on. Mostly remote, back in for a little bit. March 2020 to about March of 2022. Now, we were going into a phased approach. So March starts 2 days in, Wednesday's 3 days in, April's 3 days in, May would be back to our normal schedule. So last week being the first one, I was in Monday, Tuesday, and then this week I was going to do Wednesday, Thursday. And then things all hit the fan. Yeah. So let me give you a little background on that. We have a senior dog. Megan has this dog, Haley, who is a rescue dog, adopt, don't shop. She's had her, she's 16 years old and she got her as a pup. She's been living with me since 2018, so I've been sort of like she calls her, I'm her boyfriend. She was, because I used to go to our date night, she'd say, oh, guess who's coming? Your boyfriend's coming, and the dog would get all excited. So, been living with me for about 4 years now, and I love the dog dearly, and, she's 16 years old. She's got a couple of problems, not anything horrible. She is, she's got a little bit of arthritis in the back legs, and she can't walk around that great anymore. She can walk. We used to go on walks all the time. She would run half the time, but now not so much. We have to, because of the house we're living in right now, we have to hitch her up with her harness and all that and take her outside down the front steps into the yard on a lead and then bring her back in. Well, with her back legs and everything's been going on, she's not really good at walking up and down steps anymore. She can come up. Sometimes walking down is harder. So I've been picking her up from inside the house, carrying her out to the yard, and then picking her up and bringing her back in. Because if I don't, she'll just lay down in the yard, stay out there all day because she loves to do that. Long story short. So she's got those back legs that aren't working that great, and when the weather gets bad, they don't work even that much more. They get worse. She also has a little bit of touch of dementia. She's 16. But other than that, she eats, she drinks, she does everything, and she's a fighter. I mean, she will army crawl across the floor to get what she wants if you don't help her. And you can, we will walk through the house a lot now. Usually I will sort of keep her in between my knees, not like straddling her, but like walking over top of her, and then she just walks, and she can bounce off of both knees if she needs to keep her legs steady. Or I will put a hand on her back passenger hip and just sort of guide her, and she will walk. She'll almost run through the house. Or she'll walk with her back passenger hip against the outside of my left knee. Everything seems to work. That's great. We do this, all day, all night if she wanted to. But recently, last Monday, as I said, our first, week back to the office, and Megan calls me and says, hey, we got some issues. I don't know what's going on with her. Her leg is swollen, her front passenger side. And I said, you know what? It's kind of interesting or driver's side. It's kind of interesting you said that, because she was sort of like, not so, happy about me touching it the one day. Turns out, because she likes to army crawl and she can get a little aggressive doing that, her elbows on her front legs kind of got a little cut, tore open a little bit, and she probably got an infection and ended up with cellulitis. We know that because after I got home on Monday and tried to get in with our regular vet for her, which they couldn't see her till Thursday, and us being concerned, furry parents, that didn't sound right. The furry kids, or mom, dog, or dog mom, whatever you want to call her, and dog boyfriend. We called my vet for the cats, who is about 20 minutes away, and they had a cancellation and could see us immediately. So, long story longer. Get there, they tell her she's got cellulitis. They put her on antibiotics. We're good. Only problem is that she's supposed to not get up and move around so much. She needs to just kind of chill out. And so we get to the point where she has to kind of lay down on the bed that we have out there in the living room for her, because it's a shorter bed, it's a little bit firmer, and she can't wander off and fall at a higher distance. That being said, because it's out in the living room, and she's supposed to just stay there if she has an accident or needs to do anything else, we have to just sort of roll with it, clean her up, clean pick up the blankets or the towels and replace pee pads, whatever, sort of build up the nest again, and then reset her back in, and everything's good. That, during the night, that kind of happens. So Megan has been sleeping out in the living room with her when it's happening. And we will get back to that in a second. So, Monday had Megan sleeping out on the couch with the dog. Everything went fine. Went to work on Tuesday. She was a little tired. I said, I'll be back. Just, everything's fine. Tuesday was fine. She was okay. Did the same routine. But in between Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, that's when it all happened. I'm dead asleep, and I sleep. I have a sleep apnea, so I sleep with a CPAP machine. And once I put that thing on, a train could run through the house, and I would never know it. I always tell Megan, I said, look, if you need me to get up for something, don't just try to nudge me or push me. Just turn on the light or open the door and say my name. Some sort of a muscle memory from when I was a kid. My mom would wake me up in the mornings to go to school when I was 8 or 9. I'm 47 and it still holds true. But 3 o'clock Wednesday morning last week, the door flies open, the light goes on, and I wake up and I look, and she's standing in the doorway crying, and I'm like, oh God, what happened to the dog? She seized up, she stroked out, what happened? And she's standing there and she's got her arm up in a weird position, and I said, what's wrong? She's like, I think I broke my arm, and she's crying, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Dog had an accident. She was trying to switch everything out, and she was trying to move the dog and just kind of shift her, and she slipped on the pee pad that the dog was laying on and fell on her wrist. And she thinks she broke it, and it's all swollen up, and it's kind of got a redness to it. There's no deformity, so it doesn't look like she broke her arm. So we're just not sure. But she's nauseous, and she thinks she passed out. She's not sure. She feels ridiculously horrible because of all the pain and everything else. So I said, look, you want to go to the ER? We'll have to go to the ER. The dog will just have to fend for herself for a little while. She's like, okay, let's just do it. So we went to this new pop-up hospital that's near us, and they checked her out. They said they took an x-ray, did a wet read. They couldn't determine that she had a break, so they just put her in one of those over-the-counter braces and sent us on our way. Went home, and she just slept out, on the couch some more, and I went back to sleep and then got up. And since I was working from home the next day, it wasn't that big of a deal. Her dad's cousin is married to a radiologist for one of the bigger hospital systems in the area, and she said, can you possibly pull my x-ray, because something just doesn't feel right. I shouldn't have this much pain and be this nauseous the second day in if I just sprained it. So he did so, and he looked at it, and then he passed it off to a colleague who's a skeletal guy, and they both came back and said, yeah, you've got a distal radius fracture non-displacement, which I think I may have pronounced all of that horribly wrong, but basically what it is you have two bones in your arm, the radius and the ulna, and she had a fracture on the radius, but it wasn't displaced, which meant it didn't shift. So it's still, everything's where it needs to be to heal. It's just, there's a definite fracture. It's going to cause you pain. So with that information, he gave us the name of somebody who's an orthopedist. We went and we saw them on Thursday. Meanwhile, dog still cannot walk fully, on antibiotics, still has some swollen leg, and I've now been pulled off the bench to take care of the dog. So now I'm sleeping on the couch, and she's in the bed. Luckily, I'm still working from home this week, so once we get some answers, maybe things will change, maybe they won't. I don't know. So Thursday we go, and they go, and we see the X-ray, and they point out for the guy, the orthopedist, where he sees the break. Turns out, not only did she break her radius, she broke the ulna. It's a straight, fracture across both bones at the wrist, and it is not horrible. So they said, yeah, you're not going to need a cast, which would be like 4 to 6 weeks of recovery. You're going to just give one of these braces. This brace is like this newfangled high-tech brace. Looks like it's got a security device from Best Buy with the wires around it, you know, and the little box on the top that sort of like links them all together. But basically, it's like, you know, it's got a pop socket on the top of it. You pull it off, and you turn it, and it tightens up these strands that bring the top and the bottom part of the brace together, and then you pop it back into place. That's basically it. Put her on, you know, Advil, Tylenol, and you're okay. Good to go. So that's, you know, not spectacular. 2 to 3 weeks, she can't lift, and it hits her right hand, mind you. She's right dominant, right hand. So now it's like she can't open up, you know, bottles. She can't open up the pilled bottles for the dog. She can't open up the peanut butter for the dog. She can't open up, you know, can't lift and pour a jug in with her left hand because it's just not as. It's like it's awkward for her. She has no coordination. Can't sign her name, and you know all the normal stuff you take for granted with your dominant arm, not having it. Now, I mean, I had my shoulder worked on back in 2017 because I had a torn. I almost said something I shouldn't have said. Torn labrum, and torn bicep and collarbone, like tendon, whatever. So I had no use of my left arm for 3 weeks while I was in a sling, and I'm right-handed, but I am still dependent on my left arm and my left hand for a lot of things. You never think about it until you do it. I use my phone with my left hand. I type on my phone with my left hand. I don't use my right for that. I will scroll and do other stuff with my right sometimes, but not type and other stuff. You know, the phone is usually in the left hand if I'm using it. So with Megan having her right hand gone, she's like completely almost helpless, which is, you know, she's upset. She can't help the dog. She's putting it on me. I got to go to work 2 days at the office. What am I going to do? The dog's now fully healed and can walk around. Game on for that. So now I haven't seen my bed in about a week and a half. My back is killing me. I have no idea how much sleep I haven't gotten because sometimes the dog likes to sleep through the night. Sometimes she likes to get up and run around and have parties, and I have to go take care of it. So it's not a great situation. So because of that, I haven't had time to record or do anything. So I'm recording all this on my phone and giving it to you so that we can, you know, have these discussions and conversations while I'm playing a video game that I can record without the voiceover later on and stick it back in. So I assume that by now we have gone through and played, I think, 1 or 2 missions on this Springtime for Adam or whatever questline. I had it sitting in my queue for like a week and didn't get to it. It's now the end of March. I'm hoping that the quest line doesn't disappear on me after the first one, and if it has, we're going to do other quests because this is all I can do right now. So hopefully, if we are able to see it, and maybe the audio won't sync up to it, but understand that we are doing very well in the vault with all of our peeps. We are down to like the last few people who need to have trained up, and we are almost full up on the rooms that we actually do have. So what does that mean? Well, what our plan is going to be is once we have run through the existing number of dwellers who need to be trained, and everybody is at 10 on all their specials, we will then find the 3 that have level 50 and all their specials, and those will be our 3 that are going to do primarily going to do quests. Everybody else will continue to do their thing. We will expand the vault only when we have people to put into those rooms. So our initial plan was to bring new people into the vault, put them in a room, and take the people who were like level 15 or so, had been there for a while, the seasoned veterans, throw them into the training rooms, and then cycle them back into the other rooms, and by that time, the new people that we had just placed there would be into the level 15 or so, and we could put them in and just repeat the process. So now we're to the point where we have a very full complement of trained up people in all of our rooms that will produce the best resources with the most bonuses, and now everybody else is just going to catch up after they go through training. So now we're going through real orientation here, boot camp. So we're going to expand more, because here's the thing. Now that we are doing quests, I want to get Dragon's Maws and I want to get Mark 6 power armors, and that will require me to have, I think, 75 dwellers in order to unlock those crafting options for weapons and for outfits. That being said, that also means that we have to have 75 dwellers, which means we're going to be definitely into Deathclaw territory. And for that, that's why I want to have the level 10s and level 50s as much as possible, either handling quests or at the front door. We've got enough Mr. Handies right now. We don't need to worry about that. We're good there. But we will have to have at least, I think, our 2 best peeps at the front door with the best weapons we can give them, so that when the Deathclaws come and knocking, we can keep it to that top floor. A Mr. Handy will be on that floor probably going forward to keep them in each of those rooms and not skipping down to the next level. Because what's going to happen is they'll go to the first room, they'll fight with them for a little bit, and anybody that's left standing on the offense side will go to the next room. And if there's nobody there, they'll go to the last room and then cycle back through and go straight down to the next level. Because if Mr. Handy is going to be in those rooms, he will stop in each room and fight them as they go, so we have a chance to take them out before they ever get to the second level of the vault. And that's, the Dota thing. That's that type of game where you just want to try to keep people, run them through a gauntlet and keep them from getting to your core areas. So that's how that's going to work. We're going to continue to do quests. We're going to continue to do objectives that will suit our purposes. Nuka-Cola Quantums, Lunchboxes, Mr. Handies. Caps are not going to be that much of a thing, because you can see we've almost reaching that 999,000 caps level. And again, also understand that within the next few weeks, because we're heading into April, Bethesda Net Launcher is going away. We'll be switching this over to Steam, and that will be where we will continue. And maybe we'll talk about Steam achievements as far as what some of the things we can do next, because those are I think are actually going to be available to us where we didn't really have achievements on Bethesda Net Launcher. So that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to bow out now because I'm getting into traffic. Again, remember, I'm still driving. I have a 45-minute drive to work, and if the traffic's bad, and then we're going to kill it now, and then hopefully I won't have to do this next time, but I'll do some preparation for other things. We'll talk about other stuff. I got plenty of things we can talk about, and you can see it all happening while we're playing. I'm just sorry that it has to be in this particular format, because this isn't the best thing for you to be able to match up where you want to watch and what you want to hear at the same time. So with that, I want to thank y'all for stopping by and listening to my tale of woe of his wife and his doggo. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.